There is one thing that women really lack of doing in their careers, and I've seen that with so many women. And this is personal branding and visibility. Women are just not doing that enough or not doing it at all. And today we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about visibility and how to build your executive presence. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of From a Woman to a Leader, a podcast dedicated to discussing women's unique challenges in the tech industry. I'm your host, Limor Bergman-Gross, and today I have a pleasure to talk with Daniela Sarmiento, and she is a personal branding and career strategy expert, and she has years of experience in executive search. If you feel overlooked in your career, or maybe not overlooked, but you're wondering how to make an impact without feeling the need to be the loudest in the room, I think this episode is going to help you. Daniela and I discuss how to develop a brand that speaks for itself. We also talk about how you can gain visibility as an introvert and practical steps to build your board of directors for support. Daniela also shares some fascinating insights on the power of storytelling in interviews and how to create a career path that truly resonates with you. Are you ready? Let's dive right in. Hi, Daniela. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. How about yourself?
I'm great. Just looking forward to this conversation.
Absolutely. And we talked about a month ago, and we said, well, we're going to talk about you don't need to be the loudest to get what you want. So it's super exciting to me, especially because I'm a very introverted person myself and I'm quiet. So I'm so looking forward to that conversation.
Amazing. Well, I hope you get the most value of our conversation today.
Absolutely. Before we get there, let's talk a little bit about you and your background. So I know that you worked as, an executive search, right, in corporate, and then you transition into coaching and you focus today helping women with their personal branding. So tell us a little bit about how kind of you switch from the executive search to coaching. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, again, I'm really pleased to be with you here today. As you said, we met online a month ago because we were hosting an event. So yeah, we are here to provide the best value we can, especially for this particular topic that is of interest, I believe, for many people, even if they are not the loudest. So
Exactly.
when I was working for corporates, it was back in 2017. I started doing recruiting and also executive search consulting, business development. And just after 2 years in the job, I started realizing that there was something missing in the market, being candidates putting themselves forward to those positions, to those jobs that I was trying to fill, but they weren't selling themselves with their fullest potential. I was seeing people, because it was before COVID, I used to run interviews in person, and they were coming not with the positioning I was expecting them to have. We were talking about positions, middle management, top management already. So it was half and a half, like recruiting. Some positions were posted and some of them, they got hunted by me, right? I was trying to get them out of the positions they were. And then we got to meet face to face. And I started what I could say it was an observations process throughout a year, where I identified that there were lack of communication skills, soft skills that weren't developed enough in order to be that next leaders my clients were looking for at the moment. So I said, maybe there is a niche here that I can help. These people are already open to that transformation process because they are looking for a new company. But I realized that they might not have the help or someone to tell them transparently that there is something else that they need to put forward in terms of their brand positioning. So that's why after a while, I would say, yeah, the observation went throughout a year where I was even, like trying to get these people, like when you hold even someone or you introduce yourself to someone, you need just to present yourself confidently, speak in the right tone of voice, and that wasn't there. There was so much, I couldn't say fear, but there were lack of knowledge in terms of, well, I know what I'm going to talk about because I've been doing this job for a while, but not that much in terms of what else can you bring. So that narrative wasn't there. And I just said, okay, let's just get out of here, build something, starting with image consulting. It was the strongest part, especially at the beginning, because people wanted to even look and present themselves better. But there was this other market that didn't know that they can also add this to the toolkit. So that's how I started, just by observation, real candidates looking for new positions. And then I got to introduce this offer where I still hold some executive search positions, right? I look for people, but not in the motion I used to when I was working in corporate, but still focus on their communication skills, the way they present themselves, and how they can actually gain credibility, but not just because they need to post online. We will talk about that later because we are talking about many introverted people, but how they can contribute in their very unique way. So that's how I got to this.
This is exciting, right? I mean, to be able to find, first of all, something you're passionate about. And that there is really a strong need for those people like myself that are introverted, that are shy, that, and those people are incredible leaders. They have all the right skills, but they lack something, right? They lack the way to confidently present themselves. And unfortunately, this is really, really important.
Yeah, it is.
And I know that, firsthand, I remember like one of the positions that eventually I got, I learned in hindsight that one of the leaders, not the direct manager, didn't want to hire me because they said, quote, I wasn't charismatic. So the way we present ourselves is so critical and can really prohibit our growth and even like getting jobs that we want.
Yeah, you are right. It's important that you talk about the charismatic part because sometimes, okay, we are looking for, I'm calling myself now the recruiter, but also perhaps the business owner, where yeah, you might need people that perform well, that they know how to do what they are asked to do, but at the same time, we have that more softer part, let's call it that way, where we are just not looking for people that are charismatic just for the sake of, okay, this person is going to be nice or friendly, but because you are going to be able to understand other needs by you having that ability and nurtured that ability and have it as part of your values, I would say.
So I want to ask you before we go into what the women needs to do. What have you been observing? Like you said, that when you worked as like in executive searching, obviously you looked for candidates. Probably they looked good on paper, right? The resume was impressive, and then you interviewed them, and you said you saw something, right? That they were not presenting themselves very well. So can you share kind of what have you seen that was not really playing well for those people?
Yeah, I would say it was more in terms of the narrative, right? You ask because you want to get that sense, especially when you are the recruiter and not perhaps the hiring manager. You want to filter everything in the best and in the best way you can, right? You want accurate information, you want data, you want percentages, numbers, and that was lacking. That information was there sometimes, but the message wasn't strong enough for me to tell me, okay, you are doing it, you got to this number, but because you also had this, and just thanks to the push, to the confidence that you have, or your level of influence, you were able to reach that. So it was many times like a very dry conversation, like step by step kind of template conversation. And I was missing that relaxed part where you can actually show as you are, and at the same time that you hold yourself tight, and that you are able to have the knowledge of your accomplishments, because that's what we are looking for in the current market, right? We want people that they were already able to do something and they have the facts to show that, but at the same time to have that new perspective that will be of value for that company. So still, when I am doing these mock interviews as part of my business, or even when I'm just rebuilding my network, or even reaching a new network for potential opportunities, is something like, tell me more from their side, but they don't want to share that much.
Interesting.
So
So
why?
kind of
Yeah.
what I'm hearing from you, Daniela, that basically when you interview those people, first of all, they felt uncomfortable. So they are very tense. They were not relaxed, kind of having a nice, friendly conversation, maybe more tense and serious. And also, they were talking, you said dry, so probably I would assume they just describe kind of their role and what they did, less about the impact that they were able to make and what differentiated them from others. What did they bring? Not just in the past, but what they think they bring to the future employer that is differentiating them from other candidates. Did I understand
Yeah.
it correctly?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And sometimes, because I got to see people throughout the years, throughout the months, and of course, it wasn't my role at the moment, at that time, to tell them, oh, you should actually take advantage of our conversation to feel at ease, because I'm not the hiring manager. Even that's why I started that observation process, because, I would like to intervene here to tell them, like, okay, when you introduce yourself, doing more in this way and this way, be aware that it's going to be very important that you have at least 3 stories, very polished, with the beginning, the chunkiest part, like the impact in the middle, and then at the end, as if you were telling a story. Because the managers, especially because the short time you're going to be given, people are expecting you to engage them straight away, and to be able to know even your personality when you speak. So it was more in terms of talk naturally. This is a conversation, and I usually tend to focus on that a lot. I would say, even on what I post, or when I get an invitation to deliver a speech. When you go to an interview, this is gonna be a conversation. They are gonna bring something to the conversation, and they're gonna bring information to you for them. You have to decide if you're going to go ahead with the proposal, if we are talking about a job proposal, for instance. So it is more in terms of how would you like to engage, and how would you like to be perceived as well, as part of all that process. And of course, for the entire career, I would say.
Yeah, so I loved what you said. It's a conversation, right? Treat it as a conversation, less of like one way of someone interviewing you. You're also interviewing them, and come prepared with what are the things that you have done in terms of impact, right? What are the accomplishments you had? What do you bring to the table? What kind of is uniquely yours? Because every person brings something unique to the role, right?
Yeah, you are right. and just listening to you, and I remember a client that used to undermine her value a lot. Right? But like quite, it was part of her DNA. Like it was like, why every time, and even she asked herself, right? Why every time I want to say, I can achieve this or this, there is something to me that, but who's gonna care about this or the way I completed that particular task? Of course, she was so skilled and so good at it. It was so internalized for her that she didn't see the risks behind what she was doing because it came naturally to her. She was usually so sought after within the company to gain that. But when it was the time for her to leave, she didn't see it as something positive, but something like, well, this is part of my everyday, you know? So changing the way you speak about it is not an easy process because it might be very easy for you, but when you get to another company, other industry, especially, and you need to transfer all that knowledge that you already have, it is sometimes something that for the other person might not seem that easy or clear. So as long as you keep refining that message and the way you get to share your knowledge is going to be more appreciated, and for sure you're going to be put forward to more opportunities.
Absolutely, Daniela, and I very much agree to that. And this is why I always encourage the women that I coach to get external perspective. So to ask for people that she works with, like, what do they see that she's doing? Because a lot of times we have this, first of all, we're as women, we're very self-critical on ourselves, and we usually underestimate our abilities and our impact. So we tend to see something that we do as, oh, that's kind of trivial, that's part of my job, like everybody does that, but it's not the case in most times it's not the case. And other people can provide us an external perspective that is highlighting what we actually do very well, that is not so trivial, and they don't see it with everyone.
Yeah, that's right. It's just so normal to see that nowadays, especially in the tech industry.
Definitely. And I guess so far, I would just summarize that before you go to an interview, really think deep about the achievements, like the impact that you created. What impact do you think you can bring to a future employer? And also, what are the unique value proposition that you have? What are unique skills? And ask maybe for others to help you with that. The more you can kind of communicate in terms of value of skills rather than, oh, this was the job description, the better you are.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's very important, Limor, because sometimes they get to see, and I realize that I usually love reading the job descriptions, right?
Yeah.
Line per line. And of course, with my recruiter spirit, I read it in another way, as I believe candidates, and that's why I tend to do it quite often, because candidates sometimes just skip through it, and especially in the tech side. Okay, I have this technical skill, but there is usually a message between lines, you know, where that job post might say, we want people to communicate well, to work as a team player. And I know most tech people tend to, okay, yeah, that's just, come on, that's okay, I have it. But do you really have it? If I were to ask you to tell me a story in relation to how good are you at working as part of a multicultural team, for instance, do you have any anecdotes to share? What was the impact of you being part of that particular team that really made the difference? Because yeah, we might be all be part of a team, but what about you as part of that particular team? And they miss that line, you know? So I usually strengthen their ability to, yes, you need to focus on the technical part. This is needed. You already achieve it. But what about building the main proposition from the top, from the bottom to the top, and not the other way around, and start the conversation from there.
Wow, that's very insightful. Then, kind of what I'm hearing from you is that first of all, you need to really pay attention to the job descriptions and what they are writing there and what is between the lines, but also come prepared with not just saying, "Oh, I'm a great communicator," but coming with stories how you actually communicated or what was the impact that you were able to make that kind of proves that you are such a great communicator. Like, for example, as you said, like you're able to work maybe with the people from multiple cultures, you were able to resolve some conflicts, or you build great collaborations between teams. Like, how can you prove me? I don't know you, right? I'm interviewing you. How can you prove me that you're actually a great communicator? And the best way to do it, and the more interesting way to do it, is by stories, right? To share stories from your career, how you have done that.
Exactly, the daily basis. You were on the job already. So don't forget that. Sometimes, again, as we say, oh no, I don't have anything else to add to that. Yes, you do.
Yeah. And I have a tip. I am a great proponent of, generative AI. What you can do, you can use tools like ChatGPT or Claude AI or whatever tool that you're using, Gemini, whatever, and upload the job description and ask AI to act as your interviewer and to come up with as many questions that they can that will address what the company is looking for based on the job description. And that can help you prepare, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we have many resources, Limor, and that's the thing that sometimes when people go through this transformation process, let's call it that way, they tend to do it on their own. And it's not because I'm a consultant or I'm a career coach. No, it's not because that, but you should find your allies, people who can intervene in the process and keep you accountable for what you want to reach, but at the same time to be able to see the array of and the variety of resources that you have paid and unpaid to help you get to where you deserve to be. This not in terms of just finding one tool or two. No. Get more informed. What's going on for other people who are in similar situation? Because that's another thing, right? We tend to isolate and we don't open up that much in terms of that new transition that we would like to take. So that's very important to look for people to support you, and the resources, they're limitless.
Absolutely, and definitely look for people to support you, and here also to help you maybe prepping for any interviews. And I wanted to address kind of the personality or you mentioned, oh, you're kind of, be more relaxed, friendly. I mean, approaching it as a conversation rather than an interview. But let's say I'm a very introverted and shy woman. How do I do that? I mean, it's very easy to say that, but I'm coming very stressed out to a conversation. How can
Yeah.
I work on getting more relaxed and more myself?
I believe the practice part is very important. It's not just about wait for that conversation to happen, but what you do before that to feel more at ease. As I said, to look for a consultant, for a coach, for a mentor, even a sponsor. Very important if you are still working and just looking for a promotion, right? Or even if you want to leave, to have what I call the board, your own board of directors, to do that job, preparation job, before you go into the real conversation to talk about what are your expectations, because it's going to be pretty much in terms of what do you expect out of that company and out of that role. And then you will say, again, this is for me, this is not for me. And you keep working on what you're doing or keep looking for something else. So having that preparation and the strategy right behind this, knowing that it is you who is looking for that new position. No one is going to be showing up for you at the interview, not even ChatGPT. So we need to be very careful with that as well, and not against AI, but you need to be aware that we don't want any robots showing up to
Yeah,
interviews, at
that's for
least
sure.
not now.
I
Okay.
think never, right? We never gonna want robots, and I absolutely agree with you. And Daniela, what I do, I recommend a lot of times the women that I'm not focused on job searching, but some women that I coach and they want to switch a job, I recommend them to actually interview for jobs that they're not interested in,
Yeah,
to practice,
absolutely.
because it's like a situation.
Yeah. I just recently had a client that she was looking for a job, and then we started on the process. She got an interview, she got hired. So you spend like 15 days before you get to the new position, and then she got a call from her current company that they wanted her for another position she have applied, but a month and a half ago. So it was like, now that I'm leaving, are you giving me the position? Well, or at least the opportunity to have the conversation. So I said, she was like, well, but I'm already out. And I said, well, now you are out. Yes. But remember, conversations, you don't know after 3 years, 4 years, how things will change. And you might be able to go back to that same company that you really like, but at the moment didn't have the position for you, and you are already committed to a new position. Get to learn what's needed that will help you, not just for this new opportunity that you are just starting in a week, but also to see how you are still aligned with your purpose, your mission, and your strengths, in order to say, okay, now I know that I can even be hunted,
That's
because
incredible.
I'm almost out because she was just doing her notice period, right? And she got to have that conversation. She was still, oh, well, we still want to speak with you because we were really interested in your profile. So don't miss any opportunity for conversations. I wouldn't say interviews if you are really focusing on your current role. But yeah, you just never know, especially when someone might want to have an informational interview with you. People wanting to be in your position, but in another company that they look for you. Be open to that as well. Of course,
that's a
be
great
very
point.
mindful of time. But yeah, at least just to be of help.
That's a great point, Daniela. So it kind of serves two purposes. One is like practicing just talking or interviewing, and another thing is just networking and creating maybe some connection with someone that may or may not be relevant for you in the future. It's always good to connect, so don't kind of dismiss any opportunity to connect with people that may be able to help you in the future.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow, so much value. So, Daniela, let me know, what else have I missed? What do you want to share that I didn't ask?
Yeah, well, something that I usually speak about is in terms of executive presence,
Mm-hmm.
which is something that is just related to the confidence that you are able to project whenever you are, wherever you are. You need to speak out loud. You should know that there is something that might be wanting to experience you, to listen from you. So this is an encouragement part, I would say, for you to start being more visible in your own way. Look for people to mentor within the company you are. If you don't feel ready to post on LinkedIn, to start building a stronger credibility, because you already have some credibility, even if you don't consider it, right? You can comment on something that is of interest to you, related to the industry you work for, or even to something more personal, not private, personal, right? And start feeling more relaxed and welcome the opportunity to be introduced to others by engaging in networking events. Even though that sometimes we feel, okay, we don't have time for that, there are always opportunities for you to expand your network, which is going to be very important for anything you decide to do, not just now, because things are shifting quite crazy at the moment. So be aware that this has been said so many times, but yeah, your network is your net worth. So pay attention to that. Boards of directors, very important to have them, like good people working for you. You don't necessarily need to pay them, but have your people surround with peers, even that might be seeing you as that leader that they want to be, and be aware that you are not on your own.
Wow, you shared so many things. So I heard kind of, build your brand on social media, like on LinkedIn. Super agree to that, although I can say that I coach women that are very introverted and they feel very uncomfortable to share things because you kind of put yourself out there when you post something, and obviously some people may react in a way that I don't know that maybe doesn't feel very comfortable. I mean, I can share that some people kind of had whatever to say on my podcast name, and it's okay. I mean, not everyone is going to like what you do, and that's okay. You mentioned networking in events. I know it's very difficult for introverted. It's also difficult for me.
Yeah, for me too. I like big events. No, thank you. I'm doing something else. I prefer something smaller. And I even for because I would say 80% of my clients are introverts as well. Just like, let's just focus on something smaller, maybe bring someone with you or ask someone else to join with you, even if the person needs to leave after, like create another strategy that is going to work for you, but you need to start testing little by little. I know this is not easy, especially when there are those big events and then you see all those people that already met in other events and they get to re-engage and you're just like, well, but I don't know anyone. So just stay calm, try to figure out at least one person that might be in your same situation, might be an introvert as well. Spot who is around, maybe looking as well for help. I want to reach someone or to network with at least one person. And yeah, just try to connect, but we need to start pushing ourselves a little bit, I would say, there, because otherwise we are gonna be keeping it to ourselves, and then, oh, I missed the opportunity to meet that person. Or even just with one comment, sometimes even something that is not related to the event, but something more casual, the casual conversation, it might lead the way to that connection, extended connection.
Yeah, and I have a tip. I mean, I was in an event last week in Vienna, and I was standing in line. There was professional photographers taking headshots, and I always enjoy opportunity to take another image of myself, another picture. And there was a huge line for the photo shoot. But this line was an incredible opportunity to meet people. So actually, I mean, the most people I met during that event was one line or another that I extended it.
Wow.
I mean, because there was a line to take the pictures, there was a line to enter your information, whatever. I mean, and I was standing in line, but during that time, I was actually talking with people, exchanging LinkedIn information. So, and I think I heard also someone else sharing that. I don't know if I read it in a poster that they stand in the longest line in an event for getting food. And someone was saying, oh, the line here is actually longer than the other line. I said, no, but this line is my networking opportunity. So sometimes it's much easier just to have a casual conversation when you're standing in line for something.
Yeah, that's great. I'm gonna add that up to a post, actually. Thanks for commenting.
At least for me,
That's
it's easier.
We forget, right?
Yeah, it's easier than getting into a room full of people and then start, okay, I'm looking around and what do I do here? It can be terrifying.
Yeah, it is actually.
So look for the line.
Okay. Oh my God.
Wow, it was such an insightful conversation, Daniela, and I'm sure that we could have talked for hours, but we can't, right? I mean, so before we go, I want to ask you, how can the women listening to us find you and learn more about you?
Sure, thank you. Well, I am on LinkedIn as Daniela Sarmiento. And you can also visit my website with the same name, full
Mm-hmm.
name. And there is a free resource for you all there as well. It's a PDF, it's a guide on how to gain visibility in the workplace. So it's been a very valuable resource that I've been sharing for a while. Even I've been speaking about that resource in other public events, and people have got to implement it and got good results out of it. So if you are eager to keep learning and are looking to gain more visibility, just reach out. I'll send it to you, or you can also visit my website and download it from there. Thank you.
Wonderful. So I'll put the links for your LinkedIn profile and your website on the show notes. Thank you so much, Daniela, for our conversation today. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Me too. And I really appreciate you, Limor, for having this beautiful space for all the tech women looking to succeed in life. Thank you so much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you.
It's my absolute pleasure.
Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the episode with Daniela. I hope it was inspiring and beneficial for you. Don't go just yet. I want to share with you what's coming up next week. And in next week episode, I'm talking with Jen Williams. And Jane is a former IBM executive, and she turned into leadership coaching. And she's also passionate about helping women, just like myself, women in tech, to find their voice in challenging environments. Jane shares her journey from being so shy she didn't speak in her master's class to becoming a confident leader in male-dominated industry. And her insights on making an entrance, owning your passion, and thriving in remote meetings, I think are truly game-changing. And here is my ask for you. If you find today's conversation valuable, please don't keep it just to yourself. Follow the podcast so you never miss another episode, and especially next week's episode with Jane. Leave a review on your favorite platform and share this podcast with someone who might need it. My goal is to empower more women in tech to rise, so I hope that helps you. And I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening, and have a wonderful day.